As we continue creating awareness against gender-based violence for 16 days of activism, we can't ignore the rise in gender-based violence cases that have led to death. Just recently, a lady in Nanyuki was murdered, and her children too. So definitely, we need to have a conversation about this. On the show today, we host a lady whose story sounds like it's off a horror movie. It made news a couple of years ago, and she and her children were fortunately given a second chance at life. And today, she's empowering many, many other women. Let's begin the show filming right here at Grammar Suits with me, Grace. Hi there, welcome to Unscripted. My name is Grace Salamin, and like I said before, my guest today is quite a special one. Diana, thanks for coming to Unscripted.
Thank you for inviting me.
Your story really wowed me. But before we get into it, who is Diana? For those at home who don't know you.
Diana is a mother.
Yep.
She's a second born in a family of 4.
Okay.
A mother of 2 girls.
Okay.
I became a widow and I survived domestic violence
I did.
6+ years ago.
If you could take us back to that time, when and where did you meet your husband? How did you guys come to be?
I was going to college.
Okay.
And this beautiful morning, I boarded a matatu on my way to school.
Yeah.
I was in my final year.
All right.
I was just busy because I had exams and I was excited that I was completing and ready to start a new journey.
Okay.
And back of my mind, it was just a journey of getting maybe a job, and you know, every other young girl has a dream.
Yes.
That was my focus, but it never happened that way. I was so naive, I even didn't know how the relationship between a woman and a man comes to end into maybe a marriage or even you have a child.
But what made you believe or think he could be the one?
Even I cannot explain.
Really?
I cannot explain because it was not a long journey, because he kept on now dropping me to school, giving me some money for lunch, and I was like, oh, this man is so caring that you even don't know how to say no. You know, men have got their own way to win women. Yeah, so
he had his ways.
Yeah, he had his own ways, and I cannot remember him proposing and giving him difficulties. You know, like if somebody comes to me today and proposes, definitely there are those, sometimes we call them the nitty-gritties of a relationship, that I would look and say no. But I think at that time I was so young and very naive that I was like, he is caring. You know, the way you look at the outward appearance.
Yes.
So that's what I looked at. Then after I finished college, graduated, and he tells me, could you mind to come and visit me?
All right.
So I never knew what it means to go and visit a man.
What happened after that?
I went and visited for 10 years.
You were done. He took you, you were hooked, you were there forever.
I was there forever. Now is when I came to see reality of some things.
What a relationship is like.
But, you know, I was trying to prove a point that I love you. You know, that the way a young girl goes and starts a relationship, and then you want to prove to this man, even if you've seen some things are not working, you want to prove a point.
That I know how to love you.
So I proved this point. This was when I realized, you know, my husband had told me that he owned this matatu.
Oh, okay. Did he?
No, he was just employed.
I see.
You know, men have got their own way to win women.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh my God.
So you realize after now you
yeah,
visited and you're staying.
I'm staying. This man is not even able to buy me more clothes. You know, I visited and I was not coming to stay.
So you never went back home? You're not
I
kidding?
I never went back home.
Wow, Diana.
I went back home actually when I was about to give birth to my first child.
Oh wow!
Is when I
Your
went to amend my I went to amend my relationship with my parents.
At what point did things turn sour?
Things turned sour the 10th year.
Oh, really?
But things were not good. You see, even this time, I'm plotting this deal, how to go and steal clothes from home.
Oh, wow.
I'm the one who came up with that idea. I told him, because my father is a church treasurer, my mother is a women leader. These people, they get to church by 10, they cannot walk out.
Okay. So that was your plan. When they're in church,
So
you go to the house.
I had my spare key. So I went home, took my clothes, and because I never needed my parents anymore, I threw my spare key through the kitchen window, removed my SIM card, threw it on the grass. I had found love.
Wow.
I was so obsessed.
That was a way of, exactly.
I was like a drug addict at that time. I was so addicted in love.
Okay.
So I go back. We are very excited.
You got your clothes?
Yeah, I got my clothes. I'm here. You know, I'm the one coming up with a solution.
All right.
Yet it was the first sign that this person lied to me. And actually, when he came to die is when I realized he was a liar for 8 years.
But you only discovered that in hindsight, much
later.
later.
Yeah, I discovered this much later. Whatever somebody does, and especially when somebody brings lies, they will always manifest
That is
at
true.
some point.
That is true.
Because there is one thing I've come to realize, if you speak the truth, it's like a broad daylight.
It is.
But when you speak a lie, every time you keep on looking for another lie to cover
it. Yeah.
and you continue covering. So this was my life with him, but I never knew.
Right.
So life was so good. We get our first baby. He had removed me from the presence of God. No more going to church. Mugidis everywhere. We could go out. And I was so excited. Being brought up in a Christian family, I never got time to go out.
This is your first time being out in the world?
My first time, he's taking me out.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, oh, this is the man. This is somebody who knows how to love. And I always thank God that I never found myself into taking alcohol or everything, because there was a foundation that my parents had
set
already set in all of us when they were bringing us up. So I could tell him, this is wrong, we don't do this.
Okay.
Because my parents have not taught me to do this, and he respected that.
All right.
But there are some things that I could not speak about. My husband could tell me to go back and iron clothes for 5 times.
5 times?
Yeah, the same trouser. I could
5
read
times?
5 times. I'm like, okay.
It just wasn't straight enough, wasn't neat enough.
Yeah, he wants to be neat.
And each time you would go back?
Yeah, happily. You know, we are told even in church seminars, a good woman submits.
Wow.
So I'm like, hey, he said it, and I go. He says the food is not hot enough. Can you go and warm it again and again? And I could go and do it happily. Wow. But these are some of the signs that I never knew. They were all about abuse
and control.
Then the other one was about, he kept on telling me that he was traveling, and I could go pack his clothes very well. Until when he dies is when I come to realize my husband had another relationship. So I was ironing and packing very well.
Another woman.
Another woman.
But when did things get ugly physically?
Things got ugly. Actually, my husband never, ever raised his hand.
Ever?
On me. Never.
The whole 10 years, there was no sign of violence?
No sign of physical violence. Okay. These are the signs. I came to know that it was violence much later after going through counseling and
it was
other
abuse.
Support. Yeah, it was abuse actually, but I never knew. So this particular day, we lived for work very well. As we used to live for work together. Okay. The neighbors knew these are perfect couple. My husband was that man who never let me carry my handbag. He could carry my handbag, open the car door for me. Oh, wow. We go to the supermarket and he carries everything, my handbag, including the shopping.
So for you knew you were loved?
I could ask other women, people really laughed.
Oh.
Because I thought I was living in this world alone, especially when it came to love. I knew I was alone in the world of love. It was so good. Our children knew they were brought up in a very loving family. We come back from work, they could come hug us. We had, according to me, because I don't know, you know, most abusers, they premeditate things.
Yes.
So him, I always say he had premeditated this, but to me, Even
didn't
that
see it
material
coming.
day, I was like, we are still in this perfect.
That's true. So what happened on that day?
So this particular day now, he comes back from work. He is very angry.
At what?
I don't know, because we had parted ways together in the morning. He even gave me money for lunch.
Okay.
And when he was leaving, I reminded him, remember, tomorrow we have a wedding in church. One of our friends was wedding, and our girls are part of the flower girls.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave work early enough, go to church, then come back home.
All right.
He says, no problem. And he had also another rule that was another sign of abuse, but I never saw it. I was supposed to make a call from one point to another.
All right.
So if I'm leaving this place,
You have to call and tell him.
Going, even if I'm going home, I have to ensure that I call him. Once I arrive home, I should call.
So you had to know where you are all the time.
So all the time, he was monitoring me, not through a CCTV, but through me.
And you didn't know.
I didn't know. He loves me. Why should I not tell him where I am?
Oh, wow.
So-
Because that's how you understood it.
Yeah, me, I
As he
understood
loves
it, and loved me, and he was so concerned about my welfare. So I was like, hey, sweetie, I'm leaving town.
Yikes.
Once I get home, I'm home safely. Little did I know, he was also using this to monitor my steps so that he could be able to cheat on me.
Imagine.
But I was
I
like,
hope the young girls listening who
Yeah.
have no idea that's what a cheater does, a narcissistic one at that. Before we continue, let's take a short break. Welcome back to Unscripted. Diana, earlier we were just mentioning how throughout your marriage you believe that you were loved deeply and you were cared for, yet all these were just abusive traits of a narcissist that you didn't know better then, but now you do. We thank God for
now
that.
I know.
But on that fateful night, what happened? He came home angry, you mentioned.
Yeah, he came home angry, and he didn't want to talk to anyone.
And you don't know why he was angry?
Actually, instead of knocking the door, he banged the door. So going to open the door for him, as usual, my children followed me.
Okay.
They came running, excited, daddy's back home.
Yeah.
And only to tell them in Kiswahili, can you go back to your mother? He said, kwendeni huko kwa mama yenu. And I'm like,
That was the first time he's ever talked to them like
yeah.
that?
And my kids were very worried. You know, they have never heard this from him. They were like, Mama, what is happening to daddy? And he had told me to prepare him ugali and fried meat because I had told him I was preparing beans and rice for children. So I said, it's okay.
Let's make
And it
friends.
was the first time ever in life for him to ask me for a separate meal.
I see.
So I went, warmed the food and went to the bedroom now because he went direct to the bedroom to call him. And he said, I don't want your food.
Wow.
And the kids are here worried, what's happening to daddy today? You know, as usual, women, we know how to cover up. And I told my kids, just leave him alone. Maybe he had a bad day at work. So I go and start helping my house girl to fold the clothes she was not ironing. And my house girl tells me, Baba Praise has picked all the keys, including my keys, now her keys.
The house keys.
Yeah, the house keys that we used to live with the house help.
All right.
She continued and she told me, including the spare key we hung on the wall.
And he's gone where with this?
No, he's not yet out actually. I'm the one who will defend him. And I told my house girl, what is your problem? I asked her, what is your problem? This is his house. He can do whatever he feels like. And my house girl was, when he is out, he's going out, he always calls us to go and open the gate for him.
Why is he taking the keys this time?
I asked my house girl, what is your problem? He steps out, closes the gate, and now he leaves, we remain here. I make calls because he is not coming. It's almost 10 p.m. He's not coming. We want to sleep early because tomorrow there is a wedding.
The wedding.
So I say, let me give him a call so that we tell him we are going to sleep. 3 consecutive calls.
Doesn't
He didn't
answer.
pick. He didn't respond. The final time I decided, let me do him a text message. And I send him a text message, we are going to sleep. It's getting late because tomorrow we are going to church very early. Then he comes. We are asleep now. The kids
So
go
he
to
comes
sleep.
much later, you're fast
And
asleep?
he comes. You know, he had close the gate. So he managed to access because he had the key. And then he could easily access the living room and get into the house because he could open the door from outside. You know, I didn't lock because he was outside, but our door was accessible. He could have opened for himself from outside. He gets into the room. I don't know it was him because this time I went slept like, I slept like a baby. Very deep sleep. And I always thank God because I think this was God's way for me not to realize that he got in.
What happened?
Something that woke me up was something very warm on my face. If you can see these scars.
Yeah, I can.
Something very warm, and I felt a lot of pain. And I'm like, oh, you know, at the back of my mind, I love my husband, it is not him. So thieves have decided to break into our house. Maybe they knew my husband is not in. Then I look up and I see that mobile phone light. And I say, these thieves. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to negotiate with them. I'm going to give them the money that we have in the house and tell them to carry all the electronics and anything else they need. So my mind tells me, can you put on the lights?
All right.
So I reach out to the bed switch and I put on the light. It was shock on me.
What's your husband?
It was my husband holding a Maasai sword that had blood already. I sat on the bed and asked him, why are you doing this to me? At that time, he cut me on the forehead.
As you ask him why?
Yeah. He cut me on the forehead. This space opened directly to the bone because he cut and it went direct to the bone. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? He responded and told me, I'm going to kill you, kill the children, and then kill myself. At this time now, it's when the truth dawns into me. After he cut me all this time, and
that's when you finally believed.
It's when I'm like, for
this
sure,
man is a monster.
He was very serious. I decided to hide under the bed, and now stopped screaming. At this point now, he takes his phone and calls my mother-in-law. I knew because he used to tell, if he was telling the mother-in-law or the mother about me, he used to refer to me as Mama's daughter. So he told my mother-in-law, Mama, I've killed your daughter.
Oh, so he thinks you're dead?
Yeah.
When you went
I went under the bed, totally silent. He called me, he kept on calling me so that I could come out of my hiding place. I kept quiet.
So you were sure he had done the job?
He knew I've finished. My mission accomplished. So my mother-in-law is assigned to dig for graves. Prepare for graves, my wife, your grandchildren, and myself, because I'm going to kill the grandchildren now. Now that I was dead, he was on his route to my children's bedroom. Then he was going to kill himself, so the graves were supposed to be full. The second phone call now was to his employer, because he had quitted Matatu business and gotten another job. Now look for another employee.
Because I'm dying.
I've killed my wife. He explained.
He confessed everything?
Everything. I'm killing the children and then kill myself. The final call was to my dad. He never used to joke with my dad, and they had a way of addressing each other. So he used to call my father Mzee, and my father could also tell him hata utazeeka. So they had that conversation, ya mzee mzee.
What did
so he said, Mzee, I have killed your daughter. I'm killing your grandchildren, kill myself. My mother, he had even the audacity to explain everything.
She's preparing the graves.
My mother is preparing for graves. Man. You're supposed to prepare for coffins. Because I'm dead under the bed, there is no need of locking the bedroom door. So what he decided to do was to go to the kitchen, take a knife.
For the children.
Thank God he never closed the door behind him. I was dead, mission accomplished. He never needed to close. This corpse can stay there, go accomplish my mission. At this point, my husband had remembered, you know, I was assigned to come and do another meal on top of what I was doing.
Yes.
So I came, I had not even freshened up that day. So I was just reluctant. The way I used to get into the house and freshen up, I don't know what happened that day. Came, my handbag, put it under the dining table, something that I had never done, under the seat, under the dining table, that when I'm going to freshen up, I'm going to carry my handbag with me. Thank God I had my spare key. That's what my house girl used. After she found everywhere was locked, every door was locked, she managed to see my handbag, got the key, went out. I had lived with this girl over 6 years. She had become part of family. She had every contact. She knew even my place, my husband's place, because we used to visit together.
So when she went out, she went to get
help? She went out and started calling, making calls. You know, at this time, no neighbor could come. These people are lovebirds.
Yeah, what do you mean there's an issue in
We
that
saw
house?
them in the morning. He opened the car door for her. So what is the main issue? No neighbor wanted to come closer. The way neighbors are like, we don't get into other people's business.
Oh no.
So I hear my house girl, my firstborn daughter, shouting for help. Please, Daddy, don't kill us. She said in Kiswahili, uwe, Daddy, usituwe.
What
I
did
said
that do
I would
to you?
rather die than my children. I was still hiding under the bed.
Yeah. What did you do?
Came out of my hiding place, full of blood, went to my children's bedroom. Once I got into my children's bedroom, I found he was just about to stab my daughter on the stomach. When he saw me, he was so bitter, he pointed me using the kitchen knife that he had. And he asked me in Swahili, yani wewe bado haujakufa, so you are not dead. And he started shivering and the knife fell down. Thank God at this point, my brother-in-law and my sister.
The nanny, the house girl called them?
Yeah, had called them, and my sister was living closer to us together with her husband. So they managed to take a motorbike and came. When they got in, they didn't want to negotiate with anyone. I remember my brother-in-law got in and took my daughter, my firstborn daughter. My sister had just given birth. She's just like a week or two from cesarean. So she managed to carry the younger one.
Oh, good.
I remember my brother-in-law telling me, kindly support yourself on the wall so that we can go out together. And he started walking slowly. But at some point,
at
when
this
he
point,
just,
where is your husband?
He's still now inside the children's bedroom. Now, when I tried to step out of the door, I remember I slided. I was just about to fall. My brother-in-law had looked behind and he had seen me following them. So he was very assured.
You all together?
That, we are together. We are together as a team. Then at this point, my husband gets hold of me. And he returns me now. He wants to take me to the bedroom. When he tried to pull me, I don't know how God gave me all the strength. He was not able to pull me. He tried pulling me. He was even shaking me, and I was not moving.
And what is he telling you?
I had overbled.
I can imagine.
And he was not able at all. So what he decided, he made sure that I stood very straight on the wall, leaning on the wall. And he took the sword and wanted to cut my neck. He told me, you pretended that you were dead. Now we are dying, both of us, in this house. It was that point I blocked. You see this part of my hand?
That's how you got that scar?
Yeah, I blocked. You know, he cut me to the bone. When I was going to the hospital, this part of my arm was hanging down. I felt the way you can cut a piece of sugar cane.
Oh, gosh.
When my bone was breaking into two. I'm fitted with 7 metal plates. All this running down.
Gosh, Diana.
He was cutting, when you see this scar that is here, he was cutting, you see the way you can slice something. He was so merciless. I'm screaming, I'm shouting for help. Now the neighbors, the crowd has increased. And my brother-in-law, now what he told me, he asked them, you people are still here and she's going to die in the house. This man wants to kill. And they're like, we cannot. It's my brother-in-law who was telling me what people were saying. We cannot go. These people are lovebirds.
They didn't believe.
They didn't believe. One of our neighbors gathered courage and managed to follow my brother-in-law. When they just got into the house and my husband saw that, they came to rescue me. Mission not accomplished. He cut my brother-in-law on his hand. My brother-in-law ran for his life. And the words I heard from him last were, go die in the hospital. I'm going to die here. When my neighbor, you know, I don't understand what happens. You find a man is abusing a woman or is beating a woman, Then you find another man comes to rescue a woman. I have never understood, because this man carried me as a young baby.
He rescued you.
He never ever thought of, I was full of blood. When we got to the door, I told him, now you can leave me here so that we can walk out together. Thank God you've rescued me.
I don't know even what to ask. In that moment, as we wrap this part, what did you fear the most? And I have to ask this, because you mentioned he never really showed signs of domestic violence. Yes, he was abusive, but this is a huge difference. Like, this extent is another level. In hindsight, I don't know if you did research or you went ahead and looked in. He was mentally ill, wasn't he?
Yeah, that one I came to realize because we went through counseling. After everything, you know, I went to hospital. There I received accusations. My in-laws started saying I'm the one who killed him. It was another long journey.
Okay.
And I could not have healed without psychosocial support.
Of course.
So I thank God so much for my church.
Okay.
They realized I needed support. They rallied around me.
Okay.
And also I came to realize, you know, when I was waking up in the morning, I could find the first person was from my family, the second person is from church.
Oh, good.
That was huge support. Then they realized I needed counseling.
Okay.
Sought for a counselor, sought for a psychiatrist.
Even your children, I hope.
And yeah,
Good.
it's our counseling journey with both a family and marriage therapist and a psychiatrist with my children has taken us 3 years. You know, when we go through trauma, we are like, I'm strong, I've healed.
I can handle this.
I can handle this. I'm a woman. Actually, that's what we say.
Yeah.
I'm a woman and women are strong. But you still need time alone with somebody who is a professional.
Yes.
Vent it out.
Yeah.
So that tomorrow you can also tell somebody else, hey, this is what you're going through. You need to vent it out.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back and hear about how Diana has overcome that life. Welcome back to Unscripted. I have to say, Diana, thank you so much, one, for having the courage and bravery to share your story once again, because you never know whose life you're impacting or whose life you're changing or will just bring light. And thank you also for talking about counseling and therapy. We need to get away from that culture of is it a Muzungu thing to do, as people still think, you know, the older generation. Counseling is important, you know, talking to your family members, praying over things, all those are good, but even adding on counseling to that is very key. So thank you for insisting on that. But I need to ask, he was, through it all, he was still your husband and still the father of your children. So receiving news that he has committed suicide, what emotions did you go through, you and your children?
Let me tell you, I always like being honest.
Please do. We appreciate honesty.
And I always say I never felt anything.
Are you happy? Yeah,
I was not happy, but I was like, he wanted to kill me. He wanted to kill my children. So why should I mourn him? I was like, I don't think I need to mourn him. I thanked God that we were alive. And I thanked God for the years we stayed together, for all the good things he did to me, and I forgave him.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you forgive him?
Yeah, I decided. The only thing I can say is that my children were hurt. As you said, this was their father.
Yeah.
And my children asked questions. Some questions that they have only been able to go through the healing journey of counseling, and also time has really helped them to outgrow what happened.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you that it was tough. The news were broken to me, but I was concentrating on my healing. And I thank God so much. My doctor kept on telling me, concentrate on your healing. So that was the paramount thing. Also, I'm here. I've remained as a widow, young.
From a nuclear family.
From a nuclear family. You can see the transition. Living with foreign bodies in my head. I went through surgery, fitted with 5 plastic nerves in my head, fitted with 7 metal plates in my hand, gone through a breast surgery. Now, was I was there any reason to start thinking about a man who has committed suicide, yet he never left a suicide note? Or I was supposed to concentrate about how am I going to start bringing up my children?
How are you starting afresh?
How am I starting afresh? I was so angry, and that's why I needed to forgive. Very angry. Actually, if he was alive, I think I could have done anything possible to ensure that he went through what I went through at that time. But today, even if he survived, I could, today, if
he was here today, what would you tell him?
I could just have told him, I forgive you, but I can never, ever dare come closer to you. Not even living with you, but just coming closer to you.
Presence,
Because, you see, this is somebody who tried to commit, to kill us, then he took his life. So he had already, you see, premeditated this. He had seen us in 4 coffins.
Imagine.
He had seen us in 4 graves. You know, he had killed us in his mind
already.
and buried us. So what else could I have said? The thing that has helped me, and if he came out of his grave today, I could have just told him, I totally forgive you, but I can never live with you again.
To those at home, forgiveness it's sometimes easier said than done, and people struggle with it, and people even die with bitterness. So I'd like you to speak to the people at home and explain how you got to that place of forgiveness and why it's important for you to forgive.
Forgiveness, number one, is important because it doesn't help the person who has hurt you. That's my own experience.
That's true.
It helped me. You see, I had held a grudge against somebody who was already dead. And then when I came to realize the dead do not know how to speak, they don't know, they don't think, they cannot even.
They're not here.
He is not here even to speak his side of the story. This is my side of the story. He is not here to speak for himself. I asked myself, so I'm holding a grudge against somebody who is helpless. Himself is helpless. 2, I came to realize this grudge had really taken, it had held me captive.
It had, huh?
I was a captive in my own cocoon because of holding the grudge. And I told God, I want to start living again. And the first thing was like, you need to forgive. I was so bitter. I came to realize forgiveness is a journey.
It is.
When I was praying that I could release him and forgive him, I did it in tears. I was alone in my bedroom. And from that day, what I came to realize, number one, God opened my doors.
Amen.
Every door that was locked, every pain I was going through, every problem, even financial doors opened up because I just decided to release. And to that woman who is outside there, and even men, because men are also abused, if you're still holding somebody, the moment you release them is the moment God releases even your blessings.
Amen.
So you release through forgiveness, God also opens his own ways of blessing you.
So that's when your life transformed. When you forgave.
My life transformed.
So tell us about the reality of being a widow. How was it like for you? What was the hardest? What were your challenges?
My hardest challenge was all my married women who were friends, the very close friends who were married women. They just started, I don't know what I did. They just stopped. The friendship stopped. Sometimes you say hi and somebody is like, they look from head to toe and they're like, and when they're with their husbands, they want to build a wall that you don't get closer to their husbands. So that was the hardest. And then the society, in my case, and I have spoken to widows whose husbands have committed suicide, the society looks at you as a murderer. This man did not deserve to die.
So are those the whispers you would hear from neighbors? And
not only whispers, my own children were told that your mother killed your father. You can imagine you're healing from that trauma, then your child comes to ask you, Mama so and so has said, uliua daddy. So you can imagine, I remember this child, she was in pre-unit. You know, this child is still, she's very innocent. And if they never went through counseling, these children would have held a grudge against me the rest of their lives. So being a young widow, you find, not only young widow, let me talk about widows in generally. Being a widow, You find even the community, the society, the in-laws, they believe you don't own anything as a woman, including that spoon in your house.
So did you lose everything?
I lost everything, but I recovered more than what I lost.
Amen.
Yeah.
Tell us about your foundation.
My organization is known as Come Together Widows and Orphans Organization.
Okay.
When I was on that hospital bed, my regular visitors were widows and some women who have gone through abuse.
I see.
These women, when they came, I remember I questioned, I'm the one who posed the question. I asked them, you people were widowed before me. Some of them were even 10, 20 years widows in widowhood. And I'm like, you were widowed 15 years ago. What have you done about this? See, they are taking other people's property. We are being told that we are killers. We are husband snatchers. What is not happening?
So you were
I came to
find
find people have normalized. You know, when the society thinks it's the norm.
Yeah.
And I said,
we just accept it and keep
it will never
moving.
be the norm with me.
Good.
Because I thought deep inside me, and I said, thank God my parents took me to school.
Okay.
I thought about that old woman who has been widowed in the village.
She doesn't know any
in
better.
Turkana, in Samburu, just in the middle of Samburu village, who maybe never got an opportunity to go to school, never got an opportunity to educate her children. Who fights for that woman?
Exactly.
And I said, I'm going to use my education and
your
my
experience.
my voice and my experience.
Yeah.
I never used to be talkative. I always tell people I was that quiet woman. Okay, comparing me and my husband, I was a bit talkative than him, but I was that shy woman who was just glued to her family. But I don't know where this courage just came, because I was like, if it is happening this way, I am a mother of 2 girls. I would want them to find changed laws. At some point, death is inevitable. They'll get married.
They will.
They might lose their husbands. What laws are they going to find in this country? Are the laws going to work for them or against them?
You're leaving a legacy for them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Diana, for inspiring me this morning, this cold, dreary morning, and convicting me in so many ways. You're a strong woman.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story and for stepping out and helping other women. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate your viewership always. And as always, let's remember, let's be kind to one another. You never know what someone is going through. Special thanks to Grammar Suits for hosting us. Until next week, goodbye and God bless.